So, good morning, everybody. I'm now calling the meeting to order, and I will ask the clerk to call roll, please.
Mr. Hartwig?
Yeah, or here. Yes.
Mr.
Here.
Mulligan?
Here.
Mr. Robertson?
Here.
Dr. Goodwin? Mr. Saldani? Through the chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. I'll now ask if there's any corrections, additions, anything else that needs to be adjusted in the minutes. And if not, I will seek approval of the consent calendar.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Same sign if there's any negatives. All right.
Any public comment on the consent?
Oh, do we need?
Yes.
I don't think we covered.
For you.
Sure. Is there any public comment? Any member of the public that wishes to comment on the consent calendar? All right. Seeing none, I will again call for a motion, and or whoever I called for a motion, now we can take a vote on it. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Then that takes us all the way to the public hearing part. So I'm going to ask all witnesses who intend to testify today to please stand and raise their right hand so that they can be sworn in. All right. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in the matters pending before the hearing board today shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? All right, thank you. You may be seated. And that takes us to item 4, the public hearing at docket C-26-09I, an interim variance for Baker Commodities. I'll ask the petitioner to come forward, turn on their mics, and introduce themselves, please.
My name is David Rocha. I'm the plant manager for Baker Commodities in Kerman.
Thomas Lowski, we're with York Engineering. This is Baker with compliance issues.
Thank you. All right, Chris, I'm assuming this is your show.
That's correct. Good morning, everybody. I'm Chris Clashen, Air Quality Specialist here at the district. Before you this morning is Baker Commodities. They operate an animal rendering plant. Raw material is processed to produce meat and bone meal, tallow, and other oil products. Baker processes over 3 million pounds of raw material weekly. The facility operates 24 hours per day, 5 to 7 days per week to ensure that raw material is processed in a timely manner. Baker's been in the process of upgrading its main boiler with a new boiler that's designed to meet the 2.5 ppm NOx limit without a selective catalytic reduction. The boiler has been shut down for the past 8 months due to some ongoing operating issues. Although Baker and the boiler's manufacturer have been working to troubleshoot, repair, and bring the boiler back online, Baker is concerned that the new boiler will continue to have problems. Baker has been relying on a backup boiler to provide steam, but this boiler's permit conditions limit the number of hours the boiler can operate per year via a 30,000 MMBTU per year heat input limit. Baker is seeking an interim and regular variance so that it can rely on the backup boiler to continue operating at the facility. Baker has requested an interim variance to be followed by a regular variance to provide relief from the applicable requirements of district rules in addition to the applicable conditions of the subject permits. The requested variance period would be from May 20, 2026 through June 18, 2026 inclusive, or until the petition for a regular variance can be heard. If granted, the variance would allow Baker to continue to operate the backup boiler beyond the heat input limit of 30,000 MMBTU per year until the new boiler is brought back to compliant operation. Baker has estimated that excess emissions of NOx may be as high as 940 pounds over the variance period. The district believes required findings as set forth in the California Health and Safety Code can be made and recommends that Baker be granted an interim variance with conditions on pages 3 and 4. And this concludes the district's presentation.
I'll ask the petitioners, do you guys have any information you'd like to provide or any comments you'd like to make?
Yeah, of course. I'd like to add a little. Thanks for the opportunity to be heard today. I greatly appreciate the board. And thanks to the district who has been great to work through this whole process. Been very helpful. Bug and clay all the time and different questions. So greatly appreciate this. Baker performs a very essential service for the Valley. So it's imperative that they continue to operate through both the interim period and then the regular variance period. The boiler that they're trying to get to work that's currently down, the district also has a vested interest in like this coming through. It's kind of a big deal to hit these 2.5 ppm NOx limits without the use of the SCR. You know, it's kind of redefines the industry. You know, currently you have to use the SCR, which has ammonia emissions. So if this all comes together, it's going to be awesome for the district as a whole. Just we need the opportunity to keep operating during this time period. The only other aspect I'd like to comment is the excess emissions that were presented. You know, that's for the whole year, not just for this, you know, month interim period. If we do operate 24/7, 365 sort of thing, which Baker does have a need to continue full-time operation, we will run out of that 30 billion BTU before we meet on the regular variance. So today's just as important as next month as well. So, thank you.
Can you talk a little bit about, I mean, I know kind of from animal agriculture standpoint, I mean, what are some of the, like, what are some of the consequences if, you know, you guys had to shut down and you couldn't like do rendering and things like that, but.
Well, you know, Baker is really the only renderer in the valley that renders fallen animals. And because we render fallen animals, we are unable to remove the SRMs, which are the specified risk material, which is like the brain and spinal cord and spinal fluid and all that. And without being able to do that, the animals would need to be buried. We bring in over 500,000 pounds of animals a day. And right now we're just under 4 to 5 million pounds a week. So obviously, if that were the case, landfills would fill up very quickly and it would become a public health crisis. So not being able to run at capacity, we would have a buildup of material on our slab, and we would have to stop picking up because we were allotted a certain amount per day, which is about 1.8 million pounds a day. And that has to be processed within 18 hours, according to our Title V. So we would not be able to meet that condition, and we didn't access, and then we'd have to just declare a state of emergency for the valley in order to catch up. And at that time, they would all dairymen would have to take their materials to landfill.
What's the situation with the new boiler?
It's it would run, but it would become unstable, and it would cause the flame to shut off, and we'd have to go through a resetting process. And sometimes when we couldn't get it to go back on, we'd have to go to 900 boiler. We'd bring in technicians to work on it and to get it back up online, but we have been unable to reach a standard of where it is stabilized for a prolonged amount of time.
I'm assuming it's a York boiler, is that right?
It's California boiler.
California
It's a
boiler.
Hearst boiler
Okay.
that we purchased through the California boiler. They're based out of Visalia, and they also are work with ClearSign, who developed the burner and was built by Rogue Engineering. And so the problems with the actual burner, the boiler works fine, but the burner is unstable.
And I know you're just dying. to ask
I'm just
questions.
asking questions.
He's gonna preliminarily.
Okay.
So what's the ppm NOx concentration, the actual concentration coming out of this burner right now?
The current, the one that we're going to be
The
running
backup, yeah,
is just under 8.
8 ppm.
Yeah.
Okay, so well above your 2.5 limit.
Yes.
Okay. And you're attempting to tune this boiler. Is that changing the fuel orifices? I'm assuming it's staged combustion, right? And it's running on natural gas?
Yes, it's running.
Okay.
Yes.
So how are you tuning this? Why is the flame becoming unstable?
For the 1200, the flame, the way that the thing is designed, it just it needs more airflow. So the original burner we brought in wasn't stable, and so they developed a new burner, and the new burner is also unstable. So they're just working on a redesign or in order to see how the engineers can get it to work, run simulations through the computers.
Okay, and Rogue has been on site doing adjustments and helping you guys out?
Rogue California Boiler have been on site to do adjustments,
Okay,
and ClearSign is able to access the programming remotely. And so they've been on site also, and they also have looked at all the data remotely.
and what's the glide path for the fix then? Have they given you an estimated date on when you're gonna be back in compliance?
No, they have not given us the data at this point. They're still working through possible answers for what the problems are.
I think in the notes, it said that you had a rental boiler as well.
Yes.
Okay, but that's expired.
That is now expired. Yeah, that period is passed. So we're utilizing the backup boiler at this time.
Was that rental boiler able to meet the 2.5 limit?
No, that was very specific for that unit.
And why the 30,000 MMBTU annual limit? Is that based upon the 8
Yes,
ppm?
that's District Rule 4306 and 4320 have very specific ppm limits for units that are existing that this boiler cannot meet on its own. So if the fuel rate is limited to 30 billion BTU or less, you do not have to comply with those specific limits. It only had to comply with the limits that were already on the permit, which I think is 9 ppm, but when it actually source tests, it's lower than what the permitted limits are. And, we'll continue to monitor with portable analyzers to ensure that the boiler is maintaining its compliance with its permit limits through this period.
What's your plan B if Rogue can't and California Boiler can't figure this out?
Likely it would, we haven't finalized that. So, it's a bit of a hypothetical, but the thought is we will use the shell of that 1200, put in a burner and have to install an SCR system. So that's a long path with the district that has to be done through permitting. So the hope is that it will take us through that period as well.
I'm kind of curious, and can you explain to me, like, I'm like 6, like how does the new system work without like an SCR and everything else? Just what's it do? What's the difference, I guess?
Yeah, I couldn't get into too much details on this mechanics. It looks cool. There's like this ring, the blue flame, and then there's another flame that goes through the middle of it. David's with it more, but yeah,
I can't really explain that. I've seen it working, but
Yeah.
I don't know the actual engineering or mechanics of how it's able to reach the sub 2.5.
It
Without-
uses stage combustion.
Is there?
So,
Okay.
yeah, and that's why they're saying there's an inner flame and then there's an outer flame.
Okay. Interesting.
I think Andy kind of hit on it, but so is the hope then during this variance that to resolve the problems with the new boiler, or we're gonna be back again next month?
This is for the interim, so that way we can make sure that we don't exceed for the 30,000 MMBTU for our current 800. And where California Boiler is right now, they can't give us an estimate time on when they're going to have a solution for it. But as Tom mentioned, if they cannot find a solution for it, then the option of an SCR being installed, which would take time with the permitting and the construction for putting it into our boiler room also.
Yeah, I mean, the hope is we want that 1200 to find a long-term stable solution. And, a lot of people that are working very hard to reach that goal. But yeah, we don't have a specific date.
Is this variance to be valid until it's brought back into compliant operation, or until you can come back and get a regular variance?
Your mic.
Oh, sorry, I can answer that, Doctor, but it's so until we can hear the regular, that's why the interim, because the interim is really because of noticing requirements.
Okay. And when do you think you'll be back for a regular variance?
They would be back for the next, which is June 17th.
June 17th.
That's the next hearing, yeah.
And another question, what's the profit in this kind of business?
It's not a very profitable business. It's it's
Public
expen-
service.
it's expensive to run with natural gas, electricity prices going up. I'm not in that part of financials as the plant manager. So I really can't answer that question at this time.
It's essential.
But I mean,
It's,
they have end products. They're making biofuel and then bone meal that's used in fertilizers. And so that's kind of, they're taking waste and turning it into usable commodities.
I think some of the fuel that's coming out of there is, I don't know, not them specifically, but I mean, I know some of the animal waste fuels that are coming out, they're like 70% cleaner diesel than conventional diesel is even. So actually what some of the fuels that come out of animal waste products are like much more carbon friendly than
Mhm.
other types.
Okay, the other thing is there's a big, lot of advertising on people using tallow for cosmetics.
And none of our tallow is used for things along those lines.
None of your tallow is used for the
No,
cosmetic
most
industry.
currently our biggest customer is a renewable energy facility that processes it for biofuel.
And what's the difference between the tallow they use for cosmetics and the tallow that you make?
A lot of that tallow has a lower acid standard. Ours it has higher acid in it, and they also process the tallow and they'll bleach it in order to
Make it look better.
in order for it to be white and to where it mixes in, whereas ours is a darker coffee color. But yes, tallow is used in makeup products and things like that, but not what we produce.
I also find this part fascinating. As David had mentioned, they take neurological materials. So it limits how the products can be used. So it can't be used for anything animal related.
So you both have nice skin.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
Yeah, we can see you coming down the road and say they must work with the tallow.
No, I'm just in an office all day, so I stay out of the sun.
All right, any other questions from hearing board
So
members?
for your plan B, have you ever had an SCR installed at the site?
We have an SCR for our 800 boiler,
Okay,
and so we have we service it when needed. We replaced out the ammonia tanks, when that's needed. And we have a skid that's been checked on a monthly basis by an outside contractor.
so how easy would it be to retrofit this if you had to go down that route?
I think that we'd have to put in a second ammonia skid, because this one that we have is a smaller unit. And so we'd have 2 ammonia skids out there. I'm not
Okay.
sure yet, but I think that's what I believe from what I
So
do.
both units use a common duct, so the ammonia injection grid and all that.
I think that they would have 2 separate ducts
Okay.
to go. One would go to the 800, the other one would go to 1200.
And so 2 separate stacks as well.
Well, we currently have 1 stack
Oh,
already.
okay.
Yeah, and so for the 800 it has its own stack, and then the 1200 would have its own stack, as they currently do right now. Even with the SCR, it has a stack.
So if they got a regular variance, how long would that be? What's the maximum time
It's for a year.
for a year? So could you get in that SCR, do you think, in a year?
I think that, as long as the permitting went through quickly or quickly enough, and then we had it manufactured, the installation shouldn't take that long. The installation would be about 4 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks to do an install. But the actual building of the framing for the SCR and the purchase of the beds would take time.
And the permitting side, that's probably
Right.
going to be the longest piece of this, because they are a Title V facility for specifically Knox, which is the most difficult thing to permit right now within San Joaquin due to what happened with the losing the district's ERC program and having to use the federal ERC program.
So have you initiated that permit yet?
No, the hope is that the
Wow.
12, we're going to get the 1,200 to work. A lot of people are writing on
Hope
this.
is not a strategy.
It's, I know that they are talking and they have been looking down that route, but they have not selected a specific unit. But I mean, we've already got to the point where we have kind of put together, like, this is going to be the plan B.
Any other questions? Good questions today. You know, I'm gonna applaud our board members. Good job. Any other questions here? All right, seeing none, I'll ask if any member of the public wishes to comment on this matter. Anybody online?
We do have one online.
All right.
Christian from CCEJN.
Good morning. My name is Christian with CCEJN. Based on your facial expression, I'm pretty sure you knew I was listening. Tom, it was nice to see you. I know you can't see me, but it's been a long time.
Christian, hey.
For this specific variance, I understand the difference between the interim and the upcoming regular. And then I also understand the importance of Baker Commodities. I would like the hearing board members to be aware that the rule in question, 4320, was updated in 2020, and the compliance schedule for all these boilers was December 31st, 2023. December 31st, 2023. So like that's when all these facilities were supposed to be complying with this, and they've been aware of that since 2020. The backup boiler, the only way that it can comply with rule 4320 is under option E, which is to operate less than 30 billion BTU per year. So if that boiler exceeds it, like it is not in compliance with that rule. And when the staff report was written, I can guarantee you, like, not having boilers operate over that 30 billion BTU was part of their non-attainment compliance strategy. I said this in a different hearing board meeting and they didn't respond. So I'm hoping they'll respond this time to you. But if we were allowed to allow the permitting process to operate as it should, and Baker Commodities could not comply with their permit, they would be issued enforcement action and violations, but they would not be shut down, is my understanding. And so while they're coming to seek this variance, like that is one way that you can choose to allow this. I would suggest that the proper way would be to allow the permit to be enforceable, have compliance do what they're supposed to do, issue the fines as an incentive to not have that hope strategy, but then Baker Commodities would get those permit applications in to get their main boiler corrected and then to get a backup boiler that would remain compliant with Rule 4320. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you.
We also have another comment.
Okay.
Maya Lopez.
Maya, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Hi there, my name is Maya Lopez Gross, and I'm an environmental attorney with Alston and Bird. And I've also been assisting Baker Commodities in the preparation of this variance. I do a lot of work with variances at air districts throughout California. And I appreciate the comment from Christian just now. And I wanted to provide a counterpoint that I think the district and the board is already aware of, but I'll just say that, you know, the variance process exists through the Health and Safety Code to allow the hearing board to grant temporary relief from rules and permit conditions. And so that's exactly what has been requested here. And as I think was explained by Chris, this variance that we're talking about right now, the interim, is just to get us to the regular variance hearing in June. And then in June, I expect there will be, updated information to share on the compliance pathways. But I just wanted to share, I think what you're aware is that the variance process was created by the legislature precisely to give temporary relief from some of these rules, including the referenced rules here. So again, I really appreciate the board's time and the district's time in considering this and with working with Baker. And that concludes my comment.
Any other comments or any other folks online?
No further comments.
All right. Okay, well, good comments today. Good job by the board here. But with that being said, I will ask if anybody was willing to make a motion here.
Thank you. I move to approve a Baker Commodity Incorporated's petition for an interim variance set forth in docket number C-26-09I upon the basis that good cause exists as set forth in the staff report, and that there is a likelihood that the 6 findings required by the Health and Safety Code will be met at a later hearing. Variance shall be effective from May 20th, 2026 through June 18th, 2026 inclusive, or until the petition for the regular variance can be heard, whichever occurs first. It shall be subject to the conditions on pages 3 to 4 of the staff report.
Thank you, Andy. All right, Dr. Goodwin, second. If you'll please call roll.
Mr. Hartwig,
Yes.
Dr. Goodwin,
Yes.
Mr. Robertson,
Yes.
Mr. Mulligan,
Yes.
through the chair, motion passes.
Thank you. All right, thank you. Good, and I hope that everything goes really well here in the next couple of weeks and get this dialed in quickly and figure out what the next steps are.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate
you guys.
everyone's time today. Thank you.
All right, okay, that takes us to item number 5, public comments. Times available for comments from the public on matters within the board's jurisdiction, both on and off the agenda. Additionally, state law prohibits the hearing board from acting on matters not on this agenda. Do we have any member of the public that wishes to comment?
None online.
Thank you, and I don't see anybody else in here. Maybe some ghosts. That's about all I see in this room. So that takes us to item number 6, hearing board comments. Go ahead.
So in the last hearing board, I think Christian, the member of the public, brought up Stacks, this company Stacks that does emissions mitigation on marine stacks. Has anybody done any research on that and their capabilities and applicability to these glass plants?
Not that I'm aware of. I'll go talk to our PSD group about it.
I got on their website. Obviously, their main business is the ships, but they also mentioned data centers too. So that's land-based, obviously. So there may be a fit there.
I mean, my only comment is that, glass plants emissions are so much different than, like, if a data center is running off a natural gas turbine, most of them, I mean, they're just all electric from my understanding.
They use IC engines as
Okay.
backup.
All right, well, for
which is
backup.
obviously a smaller throughput, but I think it's worth a phone call to see what their capabilities are. That's my suggestion to the district. Just do a little bit of homework, make a phone call and see what their capabilities are for these glass plants.
Yeah, I mean, if that ends up being something, that rule would have to be opened up and all that kind of stuff. But I understand what you're
It's a
asking.
phone call.
Yeah.
Any other members of the board? Seeing none, new business doesn't appear to be any. So that takes us to item number 8, which is adjournment. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Yeah.